Hey fabulous fiber friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Karen and I am your host, and so is Boson. Today is Wednesday, July 8th. It is a lovely day, little hot for me, but still quite lovely. I hope everyone is doing well. I want to welcome back to all of my returning subscribers, viewers. Welcome to all of my new subscribers. And welcome to any of you checking me out for the first time. I hope you find something you like here. And little Boson. Boson, do you like things? You guys. Today, I was trying to be muy macho. And we're having some landscaping done in our front yard. And there are flagstones, which are big stones, heavy, thick. And I was trying to, what do you want now? What are you looking for? Do you want up or down? Up or down? I was trying to level out a little stone path, a walking path. And I lifted it up and I was trying to, smooth out the dirt below the stone to even it out. What is this? What is this? And I dropped the big stone on my finger. And so look at me. Oh my God. It hurt like hell. I came running into the house, holding myself, blood dripping all over the place. I think it's okay. What I do is I ran into the sink and squeezed as much blood as I could, I guess, hoping that flushes it out to get rid of any. There really wasn't much dirt on the stone. It was fairly clean because I hosed it off the other day. But there was a little dirt and debris, so I'm not sure how much I got. Sand, mostly. So I flushed it out. I put peroxide. I soaked it in peroxide and did that several times, wrapped it with ice. So let's hope it's okay. I didn't go to the doctor. I'm hoping I didn't break anything. We'll see how black and blue it is tomorrow. What are you doing here, huh? So that was my big adventure for this morning. I tried to knit just before I recorded here. I'm a continental knitter and I do use that finger to hold. I'm not going to be able to knit for a few days, so I guess I'll be sewing more. What are you doing? Why are you just laying here like this, huh? Huh, little buddy? What's the matter? What's the matter? What you doing? You want to sit with mommy? Anywho, so I hope, as I said, I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome, and I think I have quite a few things for you guys today. I have some knitting projects, some crochet projects, sewing projects, a fail, another fail. It's okay, it's all learning experience, but it's a little frustrating. I shouldn't say that. I kind of go, oh, rats, darn, and that's what I do, and I get sort of annoyed with myself. Do you guys like when people just chit-chat and do that? I'm not sure. I guess if there were two people, I could chat with Boson. Boson and I could carry on a very lengthy conversation, and maybe you guys would get a kick out of that, or maybe not. Nancy Ricci of Getting Pearly with It last summer and now again this summer has done a make-along or a knit-along for her Shelley Summer Tea. And I have completed mine. It is so, so fabulous. Did I show this last time, you guys? I better check my video. I don't think I did. It's washed and blocked, and I don't do hard blocking. When I say block, I mean I wash everything. Towel, wrap it in a towel to get out any excess water, and then lay it out dry lay it out flat to dry. And this is the beauty top. It is so soft. I am in love with this yarn. It is so fabulous. This is the Sussurro yarn. I think it is a Malabrigo. Is it Malabrigo? I believe it's Malabrigo. I'll make sure to put it below. And it is a linen cotton maybe, and it is so soft. And now that when I knit with it, you know how sometimes linen can be a little stiff? This was the tiniest bit stiff, but not quite. And now that I washed it, it's like cotton. It is so, so fabulous. Super comfortable, great for this kind of weather, the heat. And that is my Shelley Summer Tea. I won't go into it too much because I have knit this in the past and I've talked about it extensively. Suffice to say, as I always do, I do a slip stitch crochet around all of my edging. So neckline, armholes, the bottom. I always do a slip stitch crochet. I know some of you probably think, oh my gosh, what a hassle to do that. I just like it, gives it a clean, finished edge, and I'm in such a habit of doing it that now if I don't do it, I feel like my work looks less, I don't know, I like the look of it. So anyway, that is that. I will insert a picture of me wearing it. I can't wear all my garments, although I guess I could do costume changes for every single garment. But instead, I will put in a picture. So that is the Shelley Summer Tea. Many of you are knitting it. I know I've seen on Instagram. And if you haven't tried it yet, you know, check it out. It's a great, easy, fast knit. And do check out this Sussurro linen yarn. It is just, I think it's the best linen yarn I've worked with. It's really, really beautiful. So check that out. Next on the agenda, we have Pothos. It is a pattern by Beth MacDonald-Stone. I think I showed you guys in the past. I was working on it. I love lace work. So actually I knit another one of Beth's patterns that has a lace yoke, which is so lovely. And when I saw the Pothos, I said, oh my gosh, I have to make this because I love, love, love the lace work in this particular garment. It is finished. Yay, yay, yay. There is the beautiful lace work, the raglan lace work. It is just divine. Love, love, love this. It is so gorgeous. I'll insert some photos. I am in love with this tea. I love everything I make. But this one I'm particularly thrilled with. Why, you ask? Because first of all, there are no mistakes, which is super groovy. And I did, you know how under the arms when you separate, it's knit in the round, top down, and you know how sometimes when you separate for the arms and then you go back and you pick up the stitches that the pattern calls for, you know, before you pick up your armhole stitches, you're probably going to cast on a few stitches. And that's because when you separate for the sleeves, did I say armholes? You know how when you separate for sleeves, sometimes a pattern, usually I guess, will call for, in the separation, you'll cast on a few extra stitches, like before and after you remove the sleeve stitches. And then when you go and pick up for your sleeves, you will cast on a few stitches at the beginning, pick up your sleeve stitches, and then cast on a few at the end. Excuse me. And I heard on someone's YouTube ages ago that in order to avoid any little puckering or extra holes or, you know, wonky stitches, to cast on one extra stitch. So if the pattern says cast on 4 stitches and then pick up your sleeve stitches, then cast on 4 stitches, then, you know, work in the round, whatever the pattern is for the sleeve. So I decided on this one, I was going to add 2 extra, so it has been recommended that you cast on one, let's say if it's 4 stitches, and then go around and 4 more, cast on 5 stitches. So 1 extra stitch, 5, pick up your sleeve, and then cast on 5. Then when you go around again, you will remove those 2 extra stitches, right, in the beginning and at the end. This time, I picked up 4 extra stitches, 2 in the beginning and 2 at the end. And then I went, and when I went around and I removed those stitches, I didn't do them all at once. I removed 1 set of stitches, so 2 stitches at the beginning and at the end, and then I knit around, and then I removed the next set and brought me down to where the sleeve count that I was, stitch count that I was supposed to have. And I have to tell you guys, look at this underarm. This is to die for. Look at that underarm. So I don't know if it was the pattern, if it was because you're transitioning from lace to stockinette. I'm not sure what, or if because I added extra stitches and then decreased to avoid any little holes where you know, between where the sleeve is attached to the body. I'm not sure what did it. So next time I'm going to do the same thing. Next time I do a top down, I am going to add 4 extra stitches and then get rid of them over the next 2 or 3 rounds and see if that works out just as well as this one. But I have to say, I'm a little nutty about everything looking pretty, 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 even though you really don't see it, right? It's under your arm, and who's gonna look under your arm? Except a dog, maybe. And my dogs do, they're always sniffing all over the place. But I was so impressed with this. I was so impressed with myself that I'm going to try it again and see if that is a nice little trick. And then I'll tell you guys that it is a trick worth doing every time you do top-down sweaters. Also, as you guys know, I always include my purl stitch to replicate a faux seam. So that too, right, that's that's in there. And I did a couple of short rows. I always do short rows. Most patterns do call for short rows, some do not, and part of it is because of, you know, if it's a pattern and it's hard to put the short rows in, maybe the short rows will be at the neck, sometimes they're just before you split for the sleeves, sometimes it's just after you split for the sleeves. And only once did I see a pattern where it was at the bottom. And so I tend to put, because I don't like my garment, right? Let's say this is your front of garment, this is your back of garment, and quite often the back will sit up a little higher once you have it on. And I'm a little goofball-y, I don't want that. So I always add short rows right before I start whatever the hem is. If it's, you know, a ribbing or whatever the hem is, I will always add a couple of short rows in there. Sometimes you only need one set, right? You go, you know, on the right side and the wrong side, and that's sufficient. Sometimes you have to do a couple of them because you don't want it to dip down too much. So you really only need maybe one set or 2 at the most. And so you can see my garments, it's very straight. Again, I'll put pictures in, and I think I have a side view. I think I have a side view so that you can see that it does fit straight across the body and doesn't ride up. I also included a couple of short rows in the ribbing of the neckline. I don't think the pattern called for that. It may have, I don't think so. But I did that just so that the neck sits up slightly higher, you know, and slightly higher in the back. Oh wait, did it? Oh, maybe it did. Actually, I think this pattern did call for, my mistake, my bad. I think this pattern did call for short rows in the neck, so that was great. And I also put in here so that I could tell the front from the back, even though I can because of the way the short rows are in here. I have been getting into putting little beads. See those little beads? I've been putting little beads at the backs of my garments because it's so cute. It's, I guess, like my little label or my signature. Because labels can, I always cut any store-bought garments. My sister always laughed at me because if I gave her hand-me-downs, she said, "Where's the tag?" And I said, I cut all my tags out because they always scratch my neck or my leg or whatever. I always cut the tags out. And she said, "Well, how do I know how to wash things?" I said, "Use cold water, gentle cycle, a low heat in the dryer, and you're good to go." So that is, I am so in love with this. This yarn is Bieta from Hedgehog Fibers. It was so fabulous. Last year, well, I had used quite a bit of the Sporty Merino. It is a non-superwash yarn, and it is actually, some dyers have, they caution that, you know, on non-superwash, the dye takes a little differently. Colors aren't quite as vibrant as they are on superwash yarn. And I have not, with Hedgehog, I don't think that's, I think Bieta has pretty much nailed it. I think the colors, they may not be quite as vivid, but they're vivid. And Hedgehog hedgehog colorways are very vivid to begin with. So I think that even on the non-superwash, the colors I think are stunning. Anyway, last year I was looking for more of the non-superwash, probably in a specific colorway, and Beata informed me that it had been discontinued or at least shelved for the moment. I don't know, maybe it wasn't selling well, I don't know why, but it was, anyway, it wasn't available. But Beata wrote me and said, I do have some yarn left over, so if you want, I can dye you up some colorways. So I took advantage of that wonderful, generous offer. I gave her, I sent her a list of the colorways I wanted and then paid for my yarn, and she dyed them up for me and sent me. This colorway is called Ink. I'm so in love with it. But she was so generous to offer to dye up. I'm hoping that at some point, I see that sport weight yarn is becoming popular again. So I'm hoping that maybe they will bring back the non-superwash Sporty Merino, because it's very, very lovely yarn. It's soft. It's drapey. It's super drapey. And yeah, I mean, look at this. It's just really drapey and just lovely. I am just so in love with this. Yummy, yummy, yummy. So those, I believe, are my two finished objects. I do have a knitting whip, something that was hibernating for several months. I guess I will show you guys, because I'm trying to be a little bit monogamous, because if you're monogamous, you'll actually finish your projects in a timely manner. So I've decided I need to be a little bit monogamous. Oh my God, you guys, wait, look. I have to show you again. Isn't that so pretty? Look at that lace work. It is just so beautiful. Don't you love that? Don't you just love how it rides the raglan and then down the side of the garment? Oh my goodness. Next up, whips. Well, whip. I only have one whip. Well, that's not quite true. I do have a sock. I'm actually knitting another sock, but it's hardly worth showing you. So I'm trying, we'll skip the sock. It's not going to go anywhere. So this whip, oh my gosh, where are my glasses? Is the Lyndon by Amy Miller. I started this months ago and I put it aside, and so I'm finally picking it up again. I've separated for the sleeves. I'm going to make it slightly shorter than the pattern calls for. I am using Millpost yarns, and don't look too closely because I have a boo-boo in there and I tried to fix it. I actually corrected a little bit of it, but then I realized there was one row I just couldn't, and I wasn't going to tear back. And this is the back piece, so I'm not going to worry. See, you guys, I'm so nuts about having no mistakes, and I can't believe I'm leaving this little mistake in here. That is huge for me, to leave in a mistake like that. That's very visible. It's right almost, in the center. It will be the back of the garment, and I'm sure only knitters would recognize it, although who's going to tell me? Although maybe you should. Maybe you should say, I see your boo-boo. Actually, I don't care if you say that. I would be fine. If someone pointed out my boo-boo, I'd be fine with that. So this is going to be the back of the garment. And I'm making just a few modifications. I'm making it a little shorter, and I think this is a high-low. Oh no, I'm sorry. This garment is actually, it has a split hem, and I think I'm not going to do a split hem because I don't want it cropped, but I want it a little short because the skirt I want to wear it with, I don't think I want the high-low hem. So I think I'm just going to do this, and in pieces. I love knitting in pieces. I told Kristen from Volenvine on her, either on Instagram or in her comments in the YouTube channel, I said, oh my gosh, I love knitting in pieces. And because she's such a good sewist, I think that she may find that she really likes knitting in pieces and then seaming it together. I think she'll find that it's much like garment making. Though I have come to appreciate, which I never thought I would, knitting garments in the round. At first I said, no, 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 I want to be a purist. I'm going to knit in pieces and seam them together just like you would for sewing, garment construction. I have come to really appreciate knitting in the round, but I still think my favorite is knitting in pieces and seaming it. I really enjoy that. Also, I find that you can use a sleeve to do your gauge swatch. So start with a sleeve. I don't usually do that. I usually I work the garment part of the way because I don't mind if I have to rip out several inches, but I'll start with the garment itself, and that's why I like pieces, because it's not such a big deal to rip back. So that's what works for me. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but that's what works for me. So there's where I'm at on this lovely sweater that I will probably wear to Christy Glass's retreat, because I think one of the nights is a monochromatic night. So I have a skirt that I think this will go with, and it will be chilly, and so I think that's one of my outfits for that retreat. Next we have, that's my only work in progress, my finished knitting projects. So now we're going to move on to crochet. This finished object is something I've made before, and it was a gift for someone, and I have a lot of not singles, what are they called? Minis. Oh gosh, minis. I have a lot of minis. And I've just wanted to use them up. And actually I like work, because I've been doing some Zoom groups, Zoom sort of knit nights or knit time. One is on an afternoon, so knit afternoon or a knit night, and the other one's a knit night. And these are easy where you can, knit or crochet along. It's a simple project and still engage in conversation with the other makers. So this item is another shawl or a scarf. It can be worn as either. I made this one narrower than the first version, but it is long. And so that, I guess it's really not technically a finished object since I haven't woven in my ends. I have washed it, and the reason my ends are still hanging out is because I did the magic knot, and the first version of this, I did the magic knot, and when I washed it, a couple of them had come undone, and luckily I was able to fix them, and the lace work did not come apart. So this one I decided I would wash it first, block it, although you guys, I don't really block. What I do is I wash it in a little bit of gentle soap, wash it, let it soak for a while. I don't wring it out, but get the excess water out, roll it up in a towel, do all of that, put it outside. And then as it starts to get fairly dry, I will I will go out and do this and just sort of open up the stitches. And as it's drying, so that me giving it a gentle little fluff here, it'll open up all those stitches. So that's how I do it. So my husband loved this so much. He asked who it was for, and I said, well, no one in particular. So he said, well, can I have it? Oh, absolutely. So this is for hubby. Unfortunately, he'll have to wait to wear it. Wait till the winter to wear it. But it is just so pretty. I love these. Super fab. So this is hubby's gift. He can't say I never make him anything. Then, oh my gosh, you guys. I'm not sure how I came across Mosaic Crochet. Maybe it came across my YouTube feed. I don't recall. So I went to Tinna's, I'm going to put her name below because I most certainly cannot pronounce it, and I'm so sorry, Tinna, but I'll put her name here. I'm not sure if she's from Iceland or Scandinavian, I'm not sure, but from her name, maybe from some Scandinavian country originally. So she does these beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous mosaic crochet blankets. And a few other things, but I fell in love with these blankets. And one of them is called the Havana. And it's very geometric. Almost, the geometry kind of reminds me of like Aztec art, or some of the Aztec art. and I fell in love. So I did a little swatch. My poor finger. Oh, it's throbbing. So I did a swatch just to get an idea if I could understand. If I understood how to work the stitch, and I did. So I bought the pattern. That was from a tutorial. So Tinna does, there's a YouTube tutorial. So I followed along with that and I said, okay, great, I can do this. So I went and bought her pattern. It's called the Havana Afghan. And I will show you what I have so far. Let me entertain you. God, I have such a terrible singing voice, you guys. Let me make you smile. Okay, here is it making you smile? This is just the beginnings of my Havana Afghan. I am using, the pattern uses, I think, worsted or light worsted weight wool. I think it's 100% wool. This is actually Cascade Ultra Pima Cotton DK. So it's 100% cotton. And I have quite a bit of this in my stash for many years now. So I thought, well, so I decided just to go with the cotton. And this, you know, one thing I love about this cotton yarn, it has a sheen almost like it has silk in it. It doesn't, but the sheen, the colors are just very, very vibrant, and I love them so much. So I'm so pleased with how this is turning out. Now, because I am using a DK weight, not a worsted weight, I went down hook sizes, and I think I actually, and so even though I cast on the same number of stitches, oh wait, actually no, I might be wrong. I might, well, you have to do it in multiples of 12 or 14, or I forget what the number is. But Tinna has really great instructions. They are both written and charted. And then, of course, she has her tutorial. So if you get confused by anything that's going on, although you're only using 2 stitches, that's all you need for this, 2 stitches. You are always working from the right side. So that's why we have the ends here. But fear not, those ends get sandwiched into the border. I don't know how the border is applied. I haven't read that far ahead, but that's what happens. So I'm not following the pattern exactly. I'm not doing the same number of repeats because this is much narrower than a worsted weight would be. And it turns out a friend's daughter is having her first baby. So this may end up being the perfect baby blanket because it is 100% cotton. The mother can throw it in the wash and it's soft for a baby. And let's hope I can fit. I think it'll take me a while because I'm not doing this, you know, I'm working on my sewing and my knitting and this. So those are kind of my 3 projects. I have my crochet project because I finished one crochet project. So this is my new crochet project. I try to keep one knitting project and the sewing project. I'm really trying to keep it just down to, you know, 1 of each craft so that I actually finish something. And you guys, it is so satisfying. I have to tell you, having all those whips that I had before is, it's too stressful. But what's tough is I'm buying patterns. I'm saying, my God, I really want to cast this on. But I'm trying to have some discipline. So isn't this great, you guys? This is just so great. I love it so much. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That almost, from here, it blends in with my dress. I'm sorry I didn't wear my knitted objects for you guys today. But it's warm and I'm actually using a light box today. I want to try to balance. I have a beautiful bright window here, a window that provides a lot of daylight. But I've noticed that this side of me is always a little, not dark, but darker. So I'm using a light box. I have 2 light boxes, but it might be too bright. All that said, let's talk about sewing. And what am I wearing? I am wearing Sonia Phillips 100 Acts of Sewing dress number 1. You guys may recall, those of you that have been with me for a while, that I have made 5 or 6 of these before. But this month, Beyond Measure is doing a 100 Acts of Sewing sew-along, July 2020. And so on Instagram, and there's a Facebook group, you can join and you can post all your makes for the Sonia Phillips 100 Acts of Sewing garments. There's the dress number 1, there's a shirt number 1. I don't know all of them because I only have the pattern for dress number 1. But there are a couple of tops. I think one is for woven fabric, one is for knit fabric. There are some pants, there are the tunic, a dress, and I think a couple of other patterns. So check them out at 100 Acts of Sewing at their website and at Beyond Measure, because I think they too sell. They're out of the UK and Sonia Phillips is out of the States. So this is my dress number 1. I am going to shoot some video, I think, after this, which I will insert so that you can really see everything. And this version, I decided to install, I guess you could say install, to put pockets in here. So I have got, and it won't show. I'll put video in and maybe I'll just chatter here and I'll have some B-roll in here. So I decided to put in pockets, and I love French seams. And this garment is perfect for experimenting sewing French seams because there are only 2 pieces. There are 3 if you want to put pockets. The pattern itself has patch pockets, and I wanted inseam pockets, so I just pulled pockets from a pair of pants that I had and used those as the template, for the pockets for this dress. And I wanted to do French seams. Number 1, I do not have a serger, although my machine does do an overlock stitch, which serves the same purpose as a serger. Whew! So I followed a YouTube tutorial on how I use French seams and inseam pockets, how I work that all together, and I was so deliberate and very, very slow. My pockets, the way I've inserted them, I think because of my little boo-boo where the pocket meets the garment seam, it almost gives the appearance on this dress of having French darts. I don't know if you can see that, but a little bit. The way the fabric sort of just ripples ever so slightly on the sides, it almost resembles a French dart. And yeah, so I guess it turned out, my little mistake actually works out kind of well. So now I have not washed this garment yet. I wanted to wear it for you guys today to show you. And I do not wash my fabric, my bad, before I work with it. And a couple of ladies in my Sunday knitting group said, oh my God, that's so brave, that's living on the edge. And I guess it is. And actually it is, because one garment, and I knew because I do not wash my fabric before I sew it, which I know we're supposed to do, just like gauge swatching. I don't gauge swatch. But so what I do is I do not throw things in the dryer. Or if I do throw them in the dryer, I stand by the dryer and just give it a couple minutes to sort of de-wrinkle it. And then I'll hang it outside to dry and press the garment out. And so far that has worked. Only one garment shrunk a tiny bit, but I can still get it on. It's not a big deal. So I'm hoping that I don't have issues. This one, I guess, if it shrinks a hair, it'll be okay. It'll still be fine because I think I have a little room, a little wiggle room. Dress number 1, you guys. I know a lot of you, you know it's so great. The knitting group I belong to, the Sunday knitting group I belong to, it's so cool because I think all of the people there, it's all women. I think all of the ladies, I think everyone knits, sews, and crochets. So that is so cool because everyone does it all. So we can all share tips and tricks, and and some are much better at one craft than another. So it's really been so helpful sharing tips and tricks. So that's been really great. And I'm so happy. Thank you, Arthella and Trish, for organizing that Sunday meetup on Zoom because I just love participating in that. Thank you so much. I'm sure you guys all know who Trish and Arthella are from the Best Day Ever podcast. They have a podcast, so I'm sure you guys know who they are. And they oh my God, they are such enablers. I see something, and, oh my God, I have to make that. Oh my God, I have to make that, right? So check them out. If you haven't seen them, check them out. They're really super, super nice ladies. And should we talk about the dress? Oh my God, you guys. Remember this crochet? I love this. This is Encanto from Crochet Luna. It's too hot, but I'm going to wear it because I just love it. This dress, I'll put it below. I think it's McCall's 5446 or 455. I'll write it below. I don't remember it offhand, and I don't have the pattern sitting right with me. I first saw this dress on Constance from Stitching Over the Days, and I fell in love with it because I really love, I guess it's called Fit and Flare. So beautiful. And Constance has made many versions, and I fell in love. I said, oh my God, I've got to learn to be a better sewist. So I took the challenge, I took the plunge, and I sewed partially this dress. The dress is made in two pieces, the bodice and the skirt. You guys, first of all, I was so impressed with myself that I did these beautiful pockets, and they're facing backwards. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh. I finished and I pressed them out and I said, wow, these pockets turned out really beautifully and they look great, and they lay nice, and the garment, it's all. And then I realized, oh my God, they're facing backwards. How is that going to work? So that was a bummer. Plus, in the bodice, the waist fits, but the top is way too big. So the waist almost fits. I'm a little nervous. I think it's going to be just it'll be a tight snug once the zipper goes in. But this here is the problem. Even with this, I've got too much overlap here, which I showed you guys on another top that I had made, that I had too much overlap. And I actually did make that top again. I'll show you in a second. And it fits this time. So on this garment, I love this fabric. So I've ordered more of this fabric. I have this beautiful lining. It's all, it's just so beautifully done. The lining is just beautifully installed, I think, for the most part, I think. I would know once I, install the zipper. So I'm bummed that this didn't work out. And yes, I did do a mock-up, but I guess not enough. I should have done a full muslin, and I only did the bodice, and and I didn't put in the lining. I just did sort of the body of it, and I thought, oh, that'll be fine. It seems to fit. It'll be okay. Well, wrong. It didn't. And even here you can see my model. If I pin it, it looks fine, but it's too big across the shoulders and up, up this direction. So I'm going to have to go down, I think, I'll have to go down one size, maybe a little more than that, or maybe cut between sizes, and then make it the adjustment so that the waistline stays a little wider. I'll have to do my pockets, insert them the correct way. I think the skirt is fine. So I have to make it again. When I posted a picture on Instagram, someone had mentioned that I was using the old-fashioned way of finishing your seams by using pinking shears. And I do finish my seams with the overlock stitch, but I found that when I use my regular fabric scissor, which I have a good new fabric scissor, and it does cut beautiful sharp edges, but as I'm working with the fabric, and maybe because the fabric is inexpensive or poorly woven or who knows what, it frays a lot. So it's always frustrating for me. You're trying to, turn hems or do this, and you've got all these frayed edges, and it made me crazy. So I started using the pinking shears to cut out my fabric pieces. And that may also affect my sizing. So maybe I need to adjust for that too. Although, in my sewing machine, I do think that because the pinking shears, right, you've got the little jagged edges, that I don't measure from the tip of that edge. I sort of measure from where the actual cut takes place, not the little zigzags. So I can't imagine that that would make a huge difference in the size of the garment, but maybe. So I have to be aware of that. Another fun thing I did, I guess these are a type of dart, but you actually sew, instead of doing your dart on the inside and seaming it on the inside, you do it on the outside. And I'm not sure, I have to double check if that's correct or not. So this is my, I guess this, again, will be a very expensive mock-up. I'm going to make another one of these. I'm waiting for my fabric to arrive. I ordered the exact same fabric, and hopefully I will have success on the next version. Then, remember this top? You guys, do I have a color theme? All these blues, various shades of blue. Remember this was too big? I actually had enough fabric to make another one. What I just mentioned on this, where you had to cross over the back, I would have to cross over so much for the top to fit properly across the back. And I had that problem with this particular top. Luckily, I had enough fabric that I was able to make another version. So this one is a little smaller. I went down a size. My hook and eye. I installed my hook and eye, so I have my little opening in the back. And I guess I'm going to have to take pictures of this because I don't have any. I'll try to remember to take pictures of me in this. So I was able to make one and it finally fits. So this sewing business is, I'm learning. I don't mind the mistakes. Sometimes I complain, oh my God, the mistakes. But I really don't mind the mistakes. The mistakes are good. What is it? Oh, someone, when I posted that I put my pockets in backwards, someone's so cute. They wrote back on Instagram. They said, oh, you'll never make that mistake again. And I thought, isn't that so true, you guys? There are some like really duh mistakes that you say, well, and you don't make that particular mistake. Like, oh, never again. You'll make others, but not that particular one. I wish you and yours a very, very great weekend. I will see you next time around. Thanks for watching. Bye.